All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Corey Amanda Cotham. We're here for the afternoon session of first appearances. I'm going to begin with our first appearance docket and then go to our hearing docket following that. Before we get started this afternoon, is there anyone that needs to be called out of turn at Maine or any of the satellite jails?
No, Judge.
All right. Mr. Goldberg, do you have anybody at the satellites? Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with the list. First up is Maria Hoy.
She's here at Maine, Judge, approaching. Come on up, Ms. Hoy.
Thank you. Her bond was posted? All right.
That's what I was going to ask to see.
We're good to go. All right, thank you. Good luck, Ms. Hoy. Takira Curse.
Paul Ryan?
She bonded? Oh, okay. All right. All right. Ms. Kearse is bonded. All right, so next up will be Michelle Davis.
North Broward, John, can you put on recall? She's on her way down.
Okay, that's fine. Just let me know when she's ready, Deputy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Noah Muhammad.
North Broward.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Muhammad. All right, Mr. Muhammad, you're here this afternoon on an ad charge. This is just a new charge for an out-of-state felony hold. That is a no bond hold out of the state of Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I find probable cause for that. And Mr. Muhammad, since that's an out-of-state hold, that means that you'll go before the extradition judge in order to determine how that matter is going to be handled, all right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, sir.
Likewise.
Gary Sobel.
Mr. Sobel is approaching, Judge. She's here at Maine.
Thank you.
Come on up, sir.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Sobel.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Sobel, you're before the court this afternoon on one charge of DUI, alcohol, or drugs, first offense. I find probable cause, and I will hear from the parties.
Judge, in speaking of Mr. Sobel, financially, he's not going to be able to afford to post a monetary bond. My understanding, Judge, is this is the first time being arrested in his life. He's a registered voter. He's been living in our community for 25 plus years. He's 62 years old. He works here and lives here. He's been living at the same location in Miami for 5 years where he rents a room. I believe the monthly rent is approximately $750, which includes all the utilities and things of that nature. Judge, if the state can confirm that his first contact with criminal justice, I'm going to be asking for the court to consider straight ROR. If not, I'm going to be asking the court to consider releasing him on pretrial release.
I have no objection to pretrial with random testing.
All right, so Mr. Romero, I'm willing to ROR him as long as it's to pretrial supervision with random testing, if you want to discuss that with him.
Judge, just to clarify now, it would be just standard pretrial
That's
supervision on him, correct?
Yeah, with random drug and alcohol testing.
Judge, I believe this is his first time. I don't think I had heard anything to the contrary. He should probably, I would think a reasonable release would be straight ROR, but I could see there's probably things in the PC affidavit that cause you concern. So pretrial release would still be a form of supervision.
All right, Mr. Linder, before I decide what I'm going to do, can you confirm that he has no priors?
Yeah, no, that's why I was just asking for pretrial with random testing.
Mr. Romero, I realize that he's got no priors, but based on some information that's in the probable cause affidavit, I would prefer that it be pretrial with random testing.
Let me talk to him, Judge.
Go ahead.
Okay, Judge, he wishes to accept this
Okay.
court's release conditions.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Sobel, I'm sure that Mr. Romero's discussed this with you, but I just want to make sure that we're on the record here. You understand that one of your conditions of release is going to be random drug and alcohol testing. That means no alcohol, no intoxicants until further order of the court. You understand that?
Yep.
All right. So, Mr. Romero is going to give you some information there. Though you are going to be released today, you must report to pretrial supervision within 24 hours in person. If you fail to report to them, as I have instructed you, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
No, I missed the first part. I have to come in here tomorrow, is what you're saying?
Yes. So the information of how to get to pretrial supervision is on that paper he's given you. Tomorrow, you'll need to report to pretrial supervision in person so they can get all of your information and sign you up. If you don't come to them, as I'm telling you you need to, then a warrant will be issued. Do you understand?
That I understand. Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good luck to you, sir. So that'll be an ROR. Victor Lucas.
Judge North Broward, I spoke with Mr. Lucas earlier. His standard bond was $25. He advised me he had it in his property. And then later, the deputy called me to advise that he went to go self-bond. So that's where he is right now.
Okay, deputy. I'm sorry, what was that? Did he already bond? Okay, he's bonded, I guess. That's what I'm being told.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna make him finding a probable cause for the record. Thank you. All right, Curtis Ricard. Yeah, me.
Judge bonded?
Okay, thank you. Javante John.
Mr. John, come on up. He's approaching Judge
Thank
Munis
you.
Gordon.
Oh, do we have has anyone heard from Mr. Plant or Mr. Shate as to whether they're coming this afternoon? This is an MO case. John. Okay, Mr. John, I'm gonna put your case on a brief recall while I find out if the attorney is coming here to handle it, okay? So just give me a few minutes. I'll call you back up in a few minutes. Thank you. All right, Alejandro Rosado.
Bonded, Judge?
Bonded?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. Malcolm Gordon.
Mr. Gordon, come on up, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon, you're before the court this afternoon on 5 charges. Count 1 is a felony capias with a no bond hold. 2 is a felony violation of probation with a no bond hold. 3 is a traffic capias for driving with a suspended license. 4 is fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement. 5 is a felony probation violation with a no bond hold. I find probable cause. I do see that, Mr. Gordon, you're scheduled to go in front of your division judge tomorrow morning to address the violation of probation. So at this time, I'll hear from the parties on count 4 and count 3 if they wish to be heard on that count.
Your Honor, requesting a $5,000 bond on count 4. He was already wanted for fleeing and eluding when law enforcement tried to arrest him for the capias, and he fled from law enforcement again. All this while he was out on probation, violating his probation. He's clearly a flight risk.
Romero?
Judge, considering he has no bond hold, he's going to have to go in front of his division judge to seek some sort of relief. Nothing to add at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you. Then I will go ahead and place the $5,000 bond on count 4. And as I said, Mr. Gordon will see his division judge on the VOP matter tomorrow, and I do see he also has a status hearing the next day with his division judge. All right. Ladies, I had 2 packages on him because there's one from this morning, so I'm just giving those back to him. All right, Dominique Thompson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson, you're before the court this afternoon on 2 charges. Count 1, resisting an officer, obstructing with violence. Count 2 is battery on an officer. I find probable cause, and I will hear from the parties.
Your Honor, state's requesting 500 on one, 1,000 on two.
Judge, that's reasonable.
Okay. All right, so the bond on count 1 will be set at $500, and the bond on count 2 will be set at $1,000. All right, good luck, Mr. Thompson. Edie Monzone,
Judge, he's going to require a Spanish interpreter.
okay?
Judge, I called for one. If we could place the case on recall, please.
No problem. Travis Liebert,
Mr. Liebert, come on up, please. He's
Judge.
approaching, Judge.
I did have a PC objection as to count 2 on this case.
all right. Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Liebert.
Good afternoon.
You're before the court this afternoon on 2 charges. Count 1, trespassing on an occupied structure or conveyance. Count 2, introducing contraband into a detention facility. And Mr. Goldberg, I'll hear your argument at this
Thank you,
time.
Judge. According to the PC, he was arrested for a trespass, which is count 1. I do not have an objection to that count. However, at the end of the PC, there's some handwritten information that advises that there was a pat-down search conducted, at which time there was some suspected contraband. However, there's no information within that handwritten addendum that advises where this search occurred, when in the context of the arrest it occurred. I believe there needs to be an allegation within there that he introduced this inside of a county detention facility, and there's no representation from what's written on this PC that this search was conducted inside of a county detention facility, and because of that, I think that this has not met its burden, and so I would object to count 2.
Okay, Mr. Linder, state's response.
Your Honor, considering he was arrested at 2 in the morning and that this search occurred at 3:25 in the morning, I think it's reasonable for the court to conclude that it occurred at the jail after he'd already been arrested and was getting booked into the jail. I don't know if confinement status has in its notes what time he was booked at. Actually, Your Honor, yes, I would direct the court's attention to the booking sheet
Yes.
showing that he was logged in at 3:21 in the morning. So clearly, it had to have occurred at the jail, since this occurred at 3:25.
Okay, I do see that. All right, based on that information, I am going to make a finding of probable cause. Do the parties wish to be heard on count 2?
Yes, Judge.
Go ahead.
And speaking of Mr. Liebert, unfortunately, right now, no one's going to be able to post his monetary bond. He's 23 years old, been residing in our community for about 18 years now. He did advise me he has prior contact with the criminal justice system. At this time, he's homeless. He's self-employed. He details vehicles. When there's work, he can make about $50 a day. Judge, at this time, we're asking the court to consider releasing him on pretrial release.
Okay.
Only thing I see that the court should be aware of, his last 2 arrests were both on capiases being issued for his failure to appear in court.
What were the dates?
October 26th of last year and July 8th of last year.
All right, well, I'm willing to put Mr. Liebert on pretrial, but he needs to understand that if he misses his court dates, a capias will be issued and we'll end up back here having the same discussion. All right,
Understand?
Mr. Liebert, do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is on count 2, I'm going to grant the ROR. You're gonna be released to pretrial supervision. Mr. Romero is gonna give you a piece of paper that you need to read when we're done here. Though you're going to be released today, you must report in person to pretrial supervision tomorrow. If you fail to report to them as I've instructed you, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, good luck to you, sir. All right, I'm gonna recall Javante John now.
He's approaching, Judge.
All right, thank you. Okay, hi, Mr. John. All right, Mr. John, you're before the court this afternoon on a misdemeanor capias. This is related to a municipal ordinance violation for solicitation. I find probable cause. And Mr. John, I was waiting to see if the city had a plea offer for you today, but I have been advised that they don't have one today. But you do have a status hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning with your division judge. So right now, I'm gonna leave the bond in place that your division judge set, which is $250. If you don't post that bond, then please know you're going to be seeing the division judge and your attorney tomorrow morning, so you can discuss how you wanna handle the case, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you, sir. Okay, next will be Randy Hicks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's approaching, Judge.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Hicks.
How you doing, Yana?
I'm well, thank you. And Mr. Hicks, you're before the court this afternoon on one charge of driving while license suspended, third or subsequent offense. I find probable cause. Yeah, Mr. Romero, go ahead.
Judge, we just want to check with confinement status to see if his bond's been posted.
Let's see. It's not showing as posted yet.
Judge, it will be. There's
Okay.
nothing to request.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good luck, Mr. Hicks. Kelvin Burrows,
He's approaching, Judge Maine.
thank you. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Burrows.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. And Mr. Burrows, you're before the court this afternoon on 4 charges. Count 1, false ID given to law enforcement. Count 2, driving while license suspended. Counts 3 and 4 are court orders issued by your division judge, which have no bond holds. Those are capiases. I find probable cause. And in light of the no bond holds that Mr. Burrows has right now, do the parties wish to be heard on count 1?
Nothing to request at this time, Judge.
Okay, all right, so Mr. Burrows, you'll be seeing your division judge shortly to address the no bond hold. All right, good luck. Thank you.
Judge, Mr. Burrows wishes to address the court. May I have 1 second, please?
Go ahead.
I just need the phone numbers out my phone, some phone numbers.
Oh, you just need the phone numbers? Okay, I'll sign a phone order so that you can have access to that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right, let me go back to North Broward to see if this one case is ready. North Broward, is Michelle Davis ready yet?
Judge, one of the deputies called me and said that I think she was not coming to court. I don't know if it's a reset or.
Okay, let's hear it. Hi, deputy.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so
We went down to go pick her up, and she said she's not coming anymore. So I don't.
okay, we'll reset her for tomorrow and see if
Can
she
we?
wants to
Yeah.
come.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right, so we'll just have her reset on tomorrow's docket. Okay, so let's go to our hearing docket while we're waiting on the interpreter to come. On our misdemeanor cases, I've got Daquan Scarlett.
As they were looking for him, can we play them on recall, please?
That's fine. We'll put him on a recall. All right, so I'll go to the felony docket. First up will be Earl Hilliard.
North Brianna.
Thank
How you doing,
you.
Yana?
I'm well, thank you, Mr. Hilliard. All right, Mr. Hilliard is here on, is this a 30-day motion?
Yes,
All right, have the charges been filed?
1 moment.
Okay.
No, Judge.
All right, is there anything else holding Mr. Hilliard?
don't believe so.
All right, so Mr. Hilliard, since the state has not yet formally filed these charges, that means you are legally entitled to an ROR. I'm being told that there's nothing else holding you, which means that you will be released today.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, I just want to advise you that though you're gonna be released today, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of the case. They still have some additional time, all right? So it's gonna be your responsibility to keep in contact with your attorneys in the clerk's office, all right?
No problem, man. I really appreciate it, Your Honor, man. I almost lost my apartment, man. I got 2 more days. And
Mr. Hilliard, just thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right,
God bless,
thank you.
man.
Good
Thank
luck,
you.
Mr. Hilliard. Jarrell King. All right.
Mr. King is in polarized.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. King. And
How you
Mr.
doing, Your Honor?
I'm well, thank you. And Mr. King's here on a 30-day motion as well. Mr. Linder has the state file the charges.
One moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes,
They have been filed?
yes.
All right. So, Mr. King, since the state has filed these charges, that means your next step will be to go before your division judge for an arraignment hearing. Can either of you tell me if that arraignment date's been set yet?
Not yet, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. King, the arraignment date hasn't been set yet, but it should be within the next few days. So you'll be getting that date soon to go in front of your division judge. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. You know which charges was filed?
Mr. Linder, can you tell me which charges were filed? I've got 8 of them on my list. So
I have it.
you have it.
Mr. King, you've been charged with a grand theft auto, 2 counts of possession of a stolen credit card or debit card, 1 count of criminal use of personal ID, 1 count of resisting without violence, and 1 count of no valid driver's license.
Okay. All right. So that looks like 6 of the 8. All right. Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. King.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right. So next we'll go to Steven Syriacs. He's here on a second look, I believe.
That is correct, Judge. He's here in Maine.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Syriacs.
Morning, man. How you doing? Afternoon.
I'm well, thank you. All right. So I've got he's got, what does he got right now? I'm showing 2 on here. Was the third one resolved? All right, Mr. Romero, I'll hear from you. Go ahead.
Judge, as you can see, he has a bond, I believe if my math is correct, $2,500. Now, I know when he appeared before you last week, I didn't request anything. But now, speaking Mr. Sirius, no one's going to be able to afford to post his bond. He's 32 years old, been here his whole life. He just got a job about 3 weeks ago as a barber in Margate. Right now, he's not living anywhere. He's kind of staying from place to place, so he's, for lack of a better word, homeless. However, he does have a mailing address. It's a friend of his who lives in Margate that he can use as an address to get future court notices to make sure he comes to court. Judge, considering these are non-violent, we're going to be asking the court to consider releasing him on pretrial release. And I know Mr. Syriac wishes to address the court, and I've advised him not to talk about the facts of the case.
All right, Mr. Syriac, you've heard what Mr. Romero has just said to me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you understand that you're not to talk about the facts of the case?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
what is it that you want to say?
I just want to say, you know, I know it don't seem like it, but I was out there trying to do the right thing. You know, I know it don't seem like it, but I just started accumulating my license, my ID, my birth certificate. I just started accumulating all this, and I'm gonna lose everything again. I know I can't talk about the facts of the case, so I don't want to get into that. But it's not exactly what it seems like on paper.
Okay.
I know it looks like on paper, but I'm gonna lose everything again. I just did time. I just got released. Man, I don't want to lose all my stuff again. If I can just please have one chance, just a chance. One chance. All I'm asking, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Yes,
Let me
ma'am.
hear from. I'm going to hear from Mr. Linder next. We'll see what the state has to say.
Your Honor, Mr. Syriac just isn't a good candidate for pretrial. He's gotten lots and lots and lots of chances. As he just mentioned, he just got out of county jail February 1st of this year to be exact. That was after being sentenced to 364 days in county jail on 2 separate felony thefts, one with the fleeing and eluding law enforcement. Then in 2018, he had 2 grand thefts. He was sentenced to just under 18 months state prison on that case. Felony theft, same prison sentence. 2017, grand theft auto, 364 days. 2017, felony theft, VOP, 17 and a half months state prison. Theft, 2017. Grand theft, 2017 with a VOP, just under 18 months state prison. 2017, grand theft with a VOP, just under 18 months state prison. He was arrested for carjacking and felony theft in 2016. Now the cases were dropped. He was allowed out of custody while that case is pending though, and he got picked up again because he failed to appear in court. He's also had a theft in 2016, theft 2016, theft 2016, battery on a law enforcement officer 2014, he went to prison on that. Resisting with violence and unlawful use of false name ID in 07, sentenced to prison on that case as well. Loitering and prowling 06, battery 08, issuing a worthless check 99. So, Your Honor, and now he's back before the court again on 2 separate felony theft
I was like 10 and 99.
All right, Mr. Romero, is there anything else?
Mr. Sirius wants to address.
I was just saying, I know I'm not an angel, and I do have a past. I did all my time for it. You know, I had a drug problem. I was doing this and that, but you know, I don't know. All I can ask for a chance. I don't want to lose all my stuff. If there's anything you can do, maybe I can come back or whatever. I have no idea, but I don't have any bad thoughts about running or anything like that. I'm really trying to do the right thing. It don't seem like it, but I really am. That's all I can say.
The one thing I can say, Mr. Siriax is asking the court, well, he doesn't want to lose his stuff. I don't know what losses he may be suffering as a result of this arrest, but it's his own doing, and he clearly has not.
I understand that.
From the more than 15.
I don't make no excuses.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to say. Based on the allegations and the fact of the background that's been provided to me today, if, you know, and the fact that Mr. Siriax doesn't have a permanent residence right now, I don't want to put him in a situation where I'm setting him up for failure. And Mr. Siriax, I've heard everything that you've said to me today, so please don't think that I'm not listening to you, because I am. For today's purposes, I'm going to leave the standard bonds in place. If, you know, if we're in a situation where maybe his assigned attorney can get him into some sort of a residential program and bring that to the attention of his division judge at a later date, maybe that'll put him on the right track, but that's not something that I'm able to do today. So for today's purposes, I'm going to leave the bonds, the standard bonds in place as they have been set. All right, Mr. Siriax, I wish you luck.
Good man. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. All right, Shelby Pratt.
Mr. Pratt, come on up, please. He's approaching, Judge.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Pratt.
Good afternoon, John.
All right, Mr. Pratt's here on a second look. From what I see here, his bond total is $2,100. Mr. Romero, we'll go to you first.
Judge, I do remember Mr. Pratt. He came last week. I didn't request for anything. He gave me the phone number of his friend. I contacted his friend. We actually spoke. They said they were going to do everything in their power to get to post his bond, but unfortunately, he's still here. They couldn't come up with the money. Having said that, Judge, he's 48 years old, been here 6 years. He does side jobs. When he gets work, he gets paid anywhere from $50 to $100 a day. He's homeless, but he does have a mailing address. It would be in Lauderhill of his friend. But right now, no one's going to be able to afford to post his bond, or else they would have already posted it. So he's asking if the court would consider releasing him on pretrial release. And Mr. Pratt did tell me he does have priors, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Linder, we'll go to you.
Your Honor, just reading the report and everything going on here, really, my concern was whether he has a residence or not, and Mr. Romero answered that. I don't know that he's necessarily a good candidate for pretrial.
What was his most recent prior before this?
I'll have to check, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, I would note, and I know Mr. Romero's advising he's homeless. I don't know who he was in the vehicle with, but they were traveling, and Mr. Pratt was driving a 2019 Volkswagen.
Judge, Mr. Pratt and I were just talking. He does have his parents that live here in Broward County. He doesn't reside with them, but he believes maybe if under these circumstances, they might let him reside there. So potentially he may have an address, but I'm not telling the court right now he 100% has it, and he hasn't told me that.
I
But he said
understand.
he may.
All right. Let me finish hearing from Mr. Linder while he's checking that information. Depending on what he says, if I am inclined to put him on pretrial, then obviously that issue would be pending verification. So we'll come back to it in just a moment.
And I did tell Mr. Pratt about that.
All right, we'll come back to that in just a moment.
His last arrest in Broward was on a failure to appear August 12th last year.
Okay.
In Palm Beach County, he was picked up on a failure to appear in December of 2018. He also was arrested for giving a false ID. There was charges of drug paraphernalia, possession of cocaine, battery on a law enforcement officer, 2016, out of Palm Beach. Resisting without violence, 2014, in Palm Beach. I'm sorry, no, Broward.
Okay. Well, Mr. Pratt, based on our conversation, I would be willing to release you to pretrial on two conditions. One is pretrial would have to verify that you would be able to reside with your parents. The second is you would be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. Do you understand that?
Ain't no problem, young.
All right, so I just need to advise you, and I'm sure Mr. Romero's already told you this, if pretrial is unable to verify the address, then the bonds will remain in place as they are. You understand that?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put the phone call in, or pretrial will, and we'll see what happens with it, okay?
Thanks, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, Christopher Dobbins.
Judge, Mr. Dobbins is up in North Broward.
Okay.
I
Okay. All right.
Judge, I
thank
spoke
you.
at length with Mr. Dobbins, and
Okay.
I think we'll need to address this properly in division, so.
Okay.
I remember when he first came through, I had advised the court that I had some concerns there may be other issues going on as well.
Okay, all right, all right. Good afternoon, Mr. Dobbins.
Good afternoon.
All right, so what I will do is, based on that information, is I'm going to leave the $1,500 bond in place, and if there are some issues that need to be addressed there, then his assigned attorney can bring that up with the division judge. All right.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Dobbins. You have a good day. Thank you. All right. Next will be Wesley Dejnowski.
He's here, main judge approaching.
Okay.
How you doing?
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Dejnowski. And he's here on a second look. The bond total is $2,025. Mr. Romero, I'll hear from you first.
Judge, Mr. Dejnowski is financially indigent. He's homeless. He's looking for employment, but he's having, I believe I advised the court that he's having a tough time finding employment. He does have a mailing address where he can get notices. It would be of his a grandmother, but right now no one's going to pay his bond, so he's asking to be released on pretrial release on these drug offenses.
Your Honor, Mr. Dejnowski was released from Florida State Prison on January 11th of this year out of West Palm Beach for strong arm robbery and grand theft. I suspect that there may be some issues with being able to find work if he's using heroin. I think maybe treatment in the jail might be the best, guys. Might be what's best for him at this point.
All right. I am going to leave the standard bonds in place. I don't know if we discussed this at his first appearance here or not, but if he's interested in entering into the SAP program, I would be willing to sign an order recommending that, but that's ultimately up to him as to whether he'd like to do that or not.
Yes, Judge, you would.
Okay.
So, of course.
All right. So, Mr. Goldberg, on Mr. Dejnowski's case, would you prepare a SAP order for him, please? Thank you. All right. Next will be Silvio Barrios.
Paul Ryan?
Okay.
Judge.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Barrios.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Barrios is here on a second look hearing. His bond total is $2,025. And Mr. Goldberg, I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Judge. I spoke with Mr. Barrios. He told me that he's financially unable to post that bond. He's lived in the same apartment for the last 3 years that's owned by his parents, so we're going to be asking for pretrial release. Like I say, Mr. Barrios is not working. He does live by himself at that apartment. He gave me the address. His parents own that home. They live in West Park as well, and he also has a sister that lives in Broward. But he told me since he's not working, neither he nor his family can afford the $2,025. That is his bond.
Okay.
Your Honor, if the court's inclined to release him to pretrial,
Yes.
especially considering the information that's been provided that it's not technically his home, I would ask that it'd be pending verification with random testing.
Well, I understand he lives there by himself, but I assume if his parents own it, then that should be able to be verified with them. All right, so Mr. Barrios, I'm willing to place you on pretrial supervision under 2 conditions, all right? Number 1, pretrial is going to have to confirm, they'll have to verify your address, which means since you reside by yourself, as I said, since you said that the apartment or the condo is owned by your parents, they can reach out to your parents to verify that that's where you live and that you're able to stay there and everything. The second condition is that you would be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. That means
No problem.
no alcohol, no intoxicants. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so pretrial will reach out to your parents in order to verify that information. If they are unable to verify it for any reason, then the bonds will remain in place as they've been set, okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you very much. Good luck to you, sir.
thank you.
What's that? Heading it. With random testing. Well, they've got that. All right, Joseph Dormalis.
Bonded.
All right. Okay, so now I have our interpreter present. Thank you.
That's what.
And that will be on, let's see, which case was it? On
Mr.
Monzon?
Eddie Monzon on page 5.
Okay, all right. And for my interpreter, do you swear or affirm to interpret from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
I do. Zachary Shapiro, SHAPIRO, Spanish interpreter.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Monzon.
Buenas tardes, señor Monzón. Good afternoon.
You're before the court this afternoon on 1 charge.
Está comparecido ante este tribunal esta tarde bajo un cargo.
This is for driving with a suspended license, third or subsequent offense.
Es un cargo de manejar con la licencia suspendida, siendo el tercer cargo o más allá.
I find probable cause,
Hallo que hay motivo fundado.
and I will hear from the parties.
Y escucharé a las partes.
Judge, can we check with confinement status to see if his bond's been posted?
Pues podemos verificar con la cárcel para ver si ya han pagado su fianza.
One moment.
Momento, sí.
Not showing? No, it has not been
No.
posted yet.
No, no lo han pagado.
Judge, his wife is gonna be posting his bond, so nothing to add at this time.
Okay, anything from the
Sí,
state?
pues su esposa va a pagar su fianza, entonces no tenemos nada que agregar. ¿La fiscalía va a agregarlo? No, nada, pues.
All right, I will leave the bond in place. Thank you.
Entonces dejaremos fijado esa fianza. Muchas gracias.
Okay, and I only have one case left, so I think that was the only one for our interpreter, right? All right, Mr. Shapiro,
Yes,
thank you.
Judge.
All right, so my one case that's left is Daquan Scarlett.
Judge North Broward just called me to advise that he refused to come to court.
Okay,
So,
so what would you like to do?
it's a second look, Judge. Can we just reset him for tomorrow and see if he refuses again? It's a trespass case.
That's fine. We'll reset him for tomorrow. If he doesn't come, then I'll.
I understand. Thank you, Judge.
All right, so thank you, everyone. That brings us to the end of our docket for today. I'll see you all tomorrow morning.